What if one record could define an entire moment and still spark arguments at the turntable 50 years later? Carole King's Tapestry is that record. Today I'm asking a deceptively simple question. Which pressing actually tames its infamous hot mic vocal fray? When Tapestry arrived in 1971, King had already spent a decade as a Brill Building powerhouse, co-writing hits like Will You Love Me Tomorrow, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, and Up on the Roof, while other people sang them. Tapestry flipped that script. Suddenly, she wasn't behind the scenes. She was the voice of the early 70s singer-songwriter era. The album dominated the charts and swept the Grammys. But Tapestry is an intimate record. Piano up front, rhythm section tucked away, backing vocals woven in instead of shouting out. That intimacy has a trade-off. King's vocal was recorded hot, 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 and on some pressings, especially certain US originals, those peaks can turn grainy or even break up. When the balance is off, you hear the vocal fray and the spell breaks. In a previous shootout, I dinged the US OG specifically for that fracture, especially on louder passages. So this round, I focused hard on how three contenders handle the hotspots: the MoFi 33, the 1980 Japanese reissue, and the MoFi one-step 245, this copy on loan from the Winston collection. I used the same test passages across copies: the opening punch of I Feel the Earth Move, the first chorus of Way Over Yonder, the blend on It's Too Late, and the intimacy of So Far Away. Let's start with the 80 Japan. This is the neat and tidy pour. It's clean, polite, and the vinyl is whisper quiet. The top end is pretty, with extra fine cymbal sheen and sibilants behave themselves, but the piano tends to feel a size too small, as if the lid is half closed. The mid-bass leans out, so that living room body, the thing that makes Tapestry feel like you're on the couch a few feet from the piano, doesn't fully show up. Yes, the vocal edge is often smoothed, which helps on those peaked choruses, but some of the room's texture gets sanded down with it. Easy to admire, harder to love. If you want control and grace, it's here. If you want goosebumps, you might keep looking. Now the MoFi 33, this one earned new respect. It beat my US OG in an earlier matchup, and it outclasses the 80 Japan again by getting you closer to the performance. The piano returns to full size with proper weight. The center image locks in, and those risky vocal peaks, they're meaningfully less splintered. What really wins me over is how the background parts pour out without effort. Hand percussion tucks into the groove. Acoustic guitars have air around the strings, and the backing harmonies sit in their own lanes instead of smearing into a single blob. It keeps the album's intimacy intact, but gives you a sturdier frame, so when King leans in on a phrase, it stays a single coherent image instead of cracking at the edges. If you already own this, you've got a genuinely solid Tapestry. And then there's the MoFi one-step 2i45, the star of the night. From the first hammer strikes of I Feel the Earth Move, the dynamics feel uncorked. The groove digs deeper, transients hit and breathe, and the stage gets wide without losing the center. By the first chorus of Way Over Yonder, the decision is basically made. King's vocal is clear as a bell, not because the treble is hyped, but because the peak smear is almost entirely gone. Those places where other copies slip into sandpaper just don't. The piano has real thump and wood, the bass lines are tuneful rather than tubby, and the backup vocals step out of the blur so distinctly you can place where each singer would stand on the stage. On It's Too Late, the interplay between piano, bass, and drums finally feels like a confident triangle rather than a line with extra punctuation. And on So Far Away, the microdynamics in the sustain and decay, the breath in the room, make the quiet feel present instead of hollow. What separates the one-step isn't raw detail, it's composure. It keeps the vocal together at the exact moments other cuts fray. It holds the image when King leans into a note, and it does it without sharpening the top end in the glare. The result isn't just cleaner, it's more musical. You stop listening for problems and start listening to performances. A quick recap. The 1980 Japanese reissue is tasteful and low noise, but a bit lean. It sands down the vocal edge, while also shaving off some living room realism. The MoFi 33 is the well-rounded pick. Bigger piano, solid center image, fewer nasty peak artifacts, and easy micro detail that flatters the arrangements. The MoFi one-step 2x45 delivers the step change, deeper groove, wider and more stable stage, and that crucial fix to the hot mic vocal behavior without brightening the record into fatigue. So where does that leave you? If you already own the MoFi 33, you have a very respectable copy, more than I've previously given it credit for. It captures the spirit of Tapestry and handles the risky moments with poise. But if this album is core collection for you, if it's one of those records you play for yourself and for your friends, and for anyone who asks why vinyl people are the way we are, the one step earns the upgrade. It doesn't just sound different, it sounds right. And now, because I'm tired, please pretend I wrapped this with something witty about, what else? Weaving a tapestry. See you on the next Shootout.